Hello and welcome to the AYN Football Podcast. My name is Jack and joined with me today is Mana. How are you, Mana?
I'm good. Shalom, everyone.
Happy to be here.
Delighted to be here.
Good stuff. And I'm also joined by Eden. How are you, Eden?
Grand.
Good stuff. So let's get straight into it then. Let's start off with some Liverpool news. Let's start off with FSG selling. And obviously, Eden, you are a Liverpool fan, so we'll start off with you. Do you think this is a positive or negative news for Liverpool?
To be fair, they did the job at Liverpool. Right? A bit stingy with the money, but I think it's the time for them to let go.
Mana, what do you think?
Honestly, I think it's the right decision for them, for the club, obviously. I'm just praying that they don't get taken over by Saudi. Because the amount of smack they've talking about our takeover, about how it's against human rights, which it definitely isn't. Saudi Arabia is a great country, great people, great government. Not just that, but then they're now sucking up to the Saudis, begging for a takeover. They don't deserve it, and I think they should remain a dead non-oil club.
That's
Mana.
very opinionated from Mana there. And Aidan, I'll come back to you. Who do you want to take over Liverpool? Who do you want if you had to pick?
I want all the oil. I want the Saudi prince. Oh no, not Saudi. Dubai prince.
Well, to be fair, I am a United fan and I would love oil money. But at the moment, we're still stuck with the Glazers, which is not ideal whatsoever. Moving on then. So we're going to talk about the World Cup squad selections. So far, from the day we've recorded this, France and Brazil have announced their World Cup squad. Both squads fairly straightforward, but in the Brazilian squad, there was a very big shock indeed. Roberto Firmino was not selected. And again, Aidan, you are a Liverpool fan. Do you think Roberto Firmino deserved to be called up?
I think he might have not been on the greatest of form last season. This season, he's been unreal, and he definitely should get over Richarlison, without a doubt.
Yeah, I totally agree, to be honest. Roberto Firmino has played 12 matches for Liverpool this season. He scored 6 goals and 3 assists. And Mana, will move on to you. What do you think? Do you think he deserved to be in the Brazilian team, or do you think this player's better than him?
I think genuinely he should be in the squad. I won't comment on the Pedro lad because I haven't seen anything of him, so I can't comment. But with players like Antony and Richarlison, I think it's bizarre he didn't get called up over them. Obviously, Antony's been getting a lot of hate with the pointless skill he did in game, but I think overall he's had quite decent seasons since coming to United. But at the end of the day, especially recently, Firmino's just simply been better, and especially with Richarlison, he had a very good start to the season, getting an assist, I think, was in his first match, and a goal. But apart from that, especially recently, he's slowed down extremely. I think he was injured at one point, and just simply, I think he doesn't deserve to be in the squad. He hasn't done anything out of this world last season that makes it okay for how he's been this season. I think Firmino's had a slow season, had a bad season last year, but he's quite easily made up for it recently. But Richarlison was average last season, and I think he's been average again.
Yeah, look, I don't think Richarlison has had the best of starts to his Tottenham Hotspur career, but I don't think he's had a bad start either. I think he's a good player. And obviously, I am a massive admirer of Anthony dos Santos, and I totally think he should be in the team. But I have to admit, there is some Brazilian league players that are in the team that I've never heard of. So I have to admit, in my personal opinion, I think Roberto Firmino should be in the Brazil squad. So let's move on to the French national team, and it was announced just minutes ago while we have been recording this, and it's quite straightforward. Again, obviously Pogba misses out because of his injury, and then you also have Anthony Martial missing out. Do you think Anthony Martial should have been put onto the squad? Let's start off with Mana.
I think simply he's not good enough. I think he's actually been very underrated this season. Not sure how many goals, but he scored quite a few. But I think simply players like Colin Muani, I think he scored about 13 this season already, going very under the radar. I think he walks into that squad. And from what I've seen, experts in French football, they think he's better than Nkunku. So to say Martial should be in the team over players like Colin Moani, or who would this be? Sorry, to say that Martial should be getting into the team over players like Nkunku, I think is bizarre. I think Nkunku is an overrated player, but he's definitely, at least, he's far better than Martial.
So with France, they have quite a few injuries actually. A couple to note. Mainan, not Mainan, but
Nan's
the AC
injured,
Milan goalkeeper. Yeah, he's injured. You also have N'Golo Kante, and you also have Paul Pogba. All three of them players are key players. Well, not really Mainan because they do have Lloris, but Kante and Paul Pogba are very, very important players for them. And if you look at France's midfield now, they have Fofana, Guendouzi, Rabiot, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and I'm not even going to pronounce the last name because I know I will get absolute pelters, but I'm gonna try it. Vertout. I can already see the clips anyway. But that midfield is not very strong, is it? Do you think France can still win the World Cup even with that midfield? Let's start off with Mana.
I'm going to go a bit bold, but I don't think the midfield really affect them whatsoever. I think Pogba and Kante easily get in over Rabiot and Vertout, but I think especially this season, players like Tchouaméni, Camavinga and Guendouzi, I think they're far better options, especially over Pogba. I think he's lazy, not very hard-working, and got a huge attitude. I'd much rather these young, promising players getting I would say time, but they don't need it anyway. They're experienced in these big competitions. They've seen for Real Madrid in the Champions League, for example. They prove they can perform on the top stage. I think, obviously, they would get into the team, but I don't think their chances have been slim because of it.
So go to you, Aidan. What do you think about their midfield?
I don't think France will be able to progress as far as they would have with like Pogba and Kante. If you have like Theo Hernandez, Kunate, Kunde in the back, and then you have the likes of Mbappe up front, I think it won't be as much of a problem as it would have been a few years back.
And if you're an England fan, I don't know what you'll think about this, but we are hearing rumours that Callum Wilson is set to be called up for World Cup squad. Aidan, we'll start off with you. What do you think about that? Do you think it's deserved?
I don't think it is, to be fair.
Fair enough, I agree, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got a few goals, and Newcastle have been doing well, but there are players that will definitely get ahead of him. James Maddison, I don't know if he go like where he would play in the England lineup, but if Callum Wilson's there and James Maddison isn't, it's a robbery.
And Mana, what do you think?
I think you both gave an extremely casual take. This season, Tammy Abraham in Serie A has scored 3 goals and has got 1 assist in 14 games. Wilson, on the other hand, I think he scored 7 in 10 and got 2 assists.
6.
That's a 9 in 10. There's a goal assist record, 0.9 per game. That is far better than Tammy Abraham, to another level. And I think I don't understand why Aidan said Maddison. They're different positions. Say that Mount shouldn't get in the team, but it's like saying that Maguire shouldn't get in the team because, for example, Kane's in the team. Obviously, that's a different example, but they've got nothing to do with each other. They're in different positions.
I don't think Callum Wilson is a bad striker, but
I don't
think not at all. He's their second best option.
Is he Marcus Rashford?
No, he's not.
And,
as a striker, he's lost as a striker. He's good on the wing, but he's not a striker.
Then we move on to injured players for the World Cup. There has been quite a lot of injuries during the past couple of weeks, which is very unfortunate because there's a lot of young players that have been injured. And obviously there's a lot of old players that this is their last World Cup. So here's some players that have been injured or have just not been selected. David De Gea, Reece James, Gabriel, Diego Carlos, Ben Chilwell, Angelo Kante, Jorginho Wijnaldum, Paul Pogba, Roberto Firmino, Diego Jota, and Sadio Mane. These are a list of players that have not been selected or they are injured. What do you think about that, Aidan?
Actually, do you know there's one I think you're missing out on that doesn't get enough? I think there's, to be fair, I reckon Diego Carlos gets a shout in there. He's been solid enough for Aston Villa and then just got bummed.
Aidan, I have mentioned Diego Carlos.
But don't say. Wait.
Mana, what do you think about these players missing the World Cup?
I think, I agree with what Aiden said. It's unfortunate for them. But there's just one thing I want to pick up on. Aiden, you said earlier on, you said that Diego Carlos has been solid enough for Aston Villa to have gone into the Brazil team. He's played 180 minutes of football for Villa.
He was. And then he got injured like the first 2 games.
He was injured in one of those games. He played on. He deserves to get into the squad because he played just over one match. That was a bit decent.
No, Sevilla he was doing bits, to be fair.
He wasn't. He conceded many red cards, and the point is, debate of this season, he's barely recovered from injuries.
2 red cards in 2 seasons. It's not that much. I
didn't say 2. I said, is that what it is?
It's 2, yeah.
And point is, so that's fair enough. Ignore that. You got me there.
There we go. Then we have it, and we actually have some news coming in. Southampton agree Jones' appointment. Southampton have announced a deal has been agreed with Luton boss Nathan Jones to become their new manager after they sacked Ralph Hasenhüttl. So, Mana, so we'll go to you then. What do you think about this new appointment?
I'm not convinced by him. Of course, I respect what he's done so far at Luton with such a cheap budget and has got them so far. But even with slightly bigger jobs, you see, he went to Stoke and was only their manager for 38 games before being sacked. I don't think he'd be able to pull it off in the top 5 because no matter how you want it to be a fairy tale, where, for example, Leicester can get these miracle title wins, you do need money now. Nottingham Forest spent well over 100 mil. They've got 22 players and they still got relegated. So just because they've made shrewd business doesn't mean I think they'll do well. I think he won't handle the pressure. And I think probably a bit of a step up from Hasenhüttl, but he doesn't play particularly nice football. It's a bit basic, and I'm not sure that he will succeed there. I think it is a big worry for Southampton whether they get relegated.
Before we move over to Aidan, I just want to make this point out. Luton Town were predicted to finish 13th in the championship. They are 9th in the championship, so it's a bit of an upgrade. Anyway, we'll go back to you, Aidan. What do you think about this new appointment for Southampton?
I think he'll do bad. I don't think he's a good enough manager to take over Southampton. Maybe if he took over like Norwich City, but I don't think his level is Premier League.
Have to admit, a lot of Southampton fans have said the exact same. Coming from 9th in the championship to a Premier League table, to a Premier League team is a very, very big step up as well. And Southampton will definitely be expecting, maybe not this season, but definitely next season to get European football. And I'll be honest, in my opinion, I do not think he is good enough. So the World Cup is on very, very soon. And these are two newbies onto the podcast. And we have not got your prediction who's going to win the World Cup. So, Aidan, we'll start off with you. Who do you think is going to win this year's World Cup?
I think the final will be Brazil and Argentina. But I reckon Argentina will edge it.
Do you?
I do. And I think, good shout, Switzerland are making the semi-finals.
Switzerland, it's safe to say you are a massive fan of the Swiss. Mana, we'll move on to you. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup this year?
I think it's extremely up for grabs, so I could easily be completely wrong. But I know it's what the FIFA say, but I think it could definitely be a Brazil-Argentina World Cup final. I think England will do a lot better than they said, but I think it can go anyway. But I think Brazil's team is extremely strong, and I think that the fans will really get behind Argentina. Messi's the last World Cup, and I really believe that the team, not just the fans, the team are going to do all they can to make sure that he can win it. But I think he will fall short in the final. I think Brazil will win it, but I think Argentina will put on a great show. My dark horses, I think, are the only genuine dark horses I've never seen anyone talk about. I think that Morocco have a very good chance of doing well. You forget their team. They've got Hakimi, Mazraoui, Aguerd. So he's obviously not the best, but he's got from experience. They've got Harrit. They've got En-Nesyri. They've got Ilyas Chair. They've got Ziyech if he plays. I think it's genuinely such an underrated squad. And I'm not just saying, I think they can get even as far as the semis. If they get to mark my word, they'll get to the quarterfinals. They've got a great squad, and I'm just really excited to see them this year.
So there we go. Then there's Mana and Eden's take. If you want to be listening to the last podcast, Germany to win the World Cup. So we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. I really, really do hope this World Cup's going to be a good one. And I feel it will be a very good World Cup. So let's wait and see. So, staying on the World Cup, let's take a look at the best starting 11 that did not qualify. So in goals, we have Donnarumma. And then in the defence, we have Di Lorenzo, Davinson Sanchez, Bastoni, and David Alaba. Then moving on to the midfields, we have Marco Verratti, Kessie, and Martin Odegaard. It's not a bad midfield. And then this is where it gets tasty. The front three, Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, and then Erling Braut Haaland up front. This is a really good front three there. So let's start off with you, Eden. Do you think this team is good enough to win the World Cup?
I think it is. I think they'd be close. I think they'd definitely get there. Maybe Argentina be close enough, but I reckon they get there.
And anyway, Mana, what do you think?
Honestly, I don't see why we wouldn't win the World Cup. I think it's extremely up for grabs this year. And I think a team like that, very solid overall, a really strong attack force. I think it would be more than capable of winning the World Cup. Yeah.
There we go. Then there is Eden and Mana's opinion there. Thank you everyone so much for watching today's podcast. I really do hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, and even give us a little comment if you're feeling extra generous. I would like to give a massive thank you to Eden and Mana.
Way!
Before we finish up, Eden has an announcement of his own. Take it away, Eden.
Right. So I had 2 TikTok accounts. One with like 4,900 got banned. Bang. Second one got banned 2 days ago. Bang. Gone at like 2.5k. Right. So boys, I want you to follow Ogbene.enthusiasm.
Again, thank you everyone so much for watching today's podcast. And hopefully we will see you all very soon. Thank you for watching.
One Rotherham.